Cameras on?
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
You all set? Yep.
Oh, I didn't know anybody was in there.
Oh, I know, he's hiding.
Can I get a motion to approve the prior meeting's minutes, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, update on the TIF seminar. How did that go, John?
Okay, that seminar actually went excellent. If you, under all the pages, you can see the agenda we had for the seminar. We had some good speakers. Tim was the MC of the events. Kara Koros, who is actually regional director for Massachusetts Office of Business Development. They're basically the state salesman. I don't know if you guys ever heard, but once in a while you'll hear Fairfax County advertising, come to Fairfax County.
Yep.
Well, that's basically a state agency, and we have people who try and attract people to the state. Once attracted to the state, then it's trying to figure out where they should go within the state. So one of the things that we tried to do during the seminar was to let the people from the state know the benefits of Grafton. We also had Joe McManus, who's from Tufts University, talk about how Tufts trying to help economic development and the benefits of businesses and biotechnology locating close to Tufts. Joe Layden, the town planner, talked to them about the different land parcels that we have. And then Lynn Tosarek actually talked to them about TIFs. And all the speakers did a wonderful job. And the reviews that we got afterwards are incredible. The thing that, from my perspective, is we actually filled the room and actually had one person over than room capacity. We had 13 developers in the room, 5 commercial real estate agents, 10 centers of influence, architects, CPA, engineers, a couple of people from Tufts, and a couple of people from Grafton. So it was a seminar went real well.
Nice.
Good positive feedback, and we've been following up with the individuals.
Excellent, excellent. You continue to do some good work there, John. Good, nice job.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I saw that in the paper. My only comment was, how come you weren't in the picture?
He was probably
Because-
taking the picture.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't a speaker. I just put the people in the room.
Yeah. And you did a nice job with
Yeah,
that.
the silent
Thank you.
hero.
Yeah,
Thank you.
obviously.
I just think you should, I wish you had been in the picture.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you weren't.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other thoughts, comments? No? Nice job, John. Really nice job.
Thank you.
Can we get an update on the planning for Shop Grafton MA?
Okay. We have a lot of items on the agenda, so I don't want to get too bogged down on it. The first thing is we need to establish a budget for Shop Grafton.
Okay.
If you buried in your package, you have this sheet here, which shows where our budget is year to date. So far, we've spent, according to this, spent $4,200. And we have a balance of $8,600. If you turn to the next page, you can see how the remaining funds have been allocated. The printing of the brochures, if you look here, the printing of the brochures, the updating of the lawn signs, that's what the $1,500 is, as well as the design work. In January, we'll have our financial seminar, so we budgeted $700 for that. We've talked about having a Grafton's Business Owners Breakfast. Was done once. It's been quite a while since we've had that. But that's what the budgeted amount was for that. The next thing is, when I first came on, what we did was we decided we wanted to go after biomanufacturing, biotechnology, and that's part of what the TIF seminar is for. This here is an example of a brochure that we did to attract biomanufacturing. what we'd like to do is to do new brochures that cater to Main Street businesses. I show this to Main Street business, it doesn't resonate with them, they don't connect. So what we'd like to do is brochures catering to those people. As well as a banner, if you look over there, you have the Grow Your Business in Grafton banner, but again, that's catering towards the biotechnology. What we'd like to do is have another banner or two that caters to Grafton, to smaller businesses, Main Street.
Business audience.
And then we'd like to have a third banner that talks about living, that talks about live, work, and play in Grafton. So it's more of a community thing of why you should live in Grafton, the
Quality of
benefits and
life.
stuff. Quality of life, exactly. We spent about $1,000 for the seminar that we just had. That hasn't been taken out of the budget yet because that hasn't been paid, which gives us a total allocated of $7,200. When we take what we currently have for a balance of the $8,600, subtract the $1,700, that gives us about $1,500 to play with for the balance of the year, provided we decided to go forward with the things that we have scheduled. Now, we can, and I wouldn't use the entire $1,500 for prizes, because like we have different chamber events and something like that, we wouldn't want to have money. But what we could do is if you decide to reduce or not do one of the activities, such as the breakfast, then you could reallocate some of those funds to the Shop Grafton. But it's your decisions, and I'd like to know what you want to do.
We had something at the Grafton Inn.
What's that?
Wasn't there something recently at the Grafton Inn, an evening session?
Well, we had,
Shop Grafton.
we had a Shop Grafton meeting where we tried to get the input from people in the community, local businesses.
Right.
Morgan was there and a couple of businesses were there. I think we had like 5 people in total. So it wasn't as beneficial as desired.
So,
And no cost. There was no cost for
right,
that.
but on that there, how were the business owners invited? And would we use that same method to invite them to, say, a breakfast if we were to have a breakfast?
That's an interesting thing, and I'd actually given some thought to it because I've been really disappointed in the response from the business owners when I send them the emails. So I don't think it would be too well attended, but I don't know. I haven't. It's like a gut feel, and gut without documentation or some sort of reference point
Right.
doesn't count in my mind.
Right, right.
You
It's
have-
valid.
Is our fiscal year same? I'm just trying
June
to figure.
30th.
What's that?
June 30th?
June
Yeah,
30th.
so what is the remainder for the, I'm trying to figure out what this $1,500 that you're referring to that could be reallocated if we don't do.
Because we need to figure out how much money for prizes. So right now it's that $1,500.
Oh, okay, that's,
So you could say, last year we did $500 for prizes as a reference point. So the question is, how much do you want to do this year? And then if, once you figure that out, we'll talk about potential prizes.
so we're gonna we're proposing to
No-
triple the
No,
amount.
I did not propose it. I
Okay,
just showed
yeah.
you
I-
what has not been allocated. I didn't make a recommendation at all.
So we could go as high as $1,472 for prizes, basically.
No, because you have to allocate money for different chamber events and things like that.
Oh,
So that's not, and that would be close to triple the budget from last year.
And we spent 500 last year on
We did.
prizes? Okay. And then I would just like to, a little more background too. So what would the intention be of the breakfast? If we, I know that we're trying to retain local businesses in town, maybe create a business community, but when this message goes out for a breakfast, what is the you know, like what is the intention? If I was a small business owner, what am I getting out of coming to this breakfast if I already know, you know, all the community players? I'm just wondering if there's maybe something we can do in its place that would be just as valuable and cost less money. You know, so we want to highlight local businesses, we want to connect with local businesses, but if we don't have, you know, the turnout and we have this kind of money budgeted, is there something else we could do in its place that would have the same intention?
I felt that the breakfast was more of a networking
Right.
thing for the business owners, so that, you know, they can, you know, again, share ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe someone doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, if they were gonna advertise something or some way, you know, so that's what I feel the breakfast is, like I said, a networking thing, not so much to get someone that is not a business owner to come.
Okay.
Not that they wouldn't be welcome, I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
clear.
John, can you give me an idea of the total attendance of the particular seminars that we've run so far? We had the small business financing scenario, we've had the social media one, there was another one, wasn't there? Was there 3?
Yeah, digital marketing,
Yeah,
digital marketing, social media. I'm going off.
Business plan.
business
Oh,
plan,
Business plan,
right, as well as financing as well?
right,
So the 3 of them, right?
right.
And I think they were all fairly well attended, I know.
They were all fairly well attended.
Right,
I think the business plan, I think that was very well attended, and I don't know how I could get more people in the room for that. The digital marketing, I think we had like,
yeah, I think I remember
35,
30,
40.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
Something like that.
exactly,
That's
yeah.
good.
and honestly, I think in that one, the timing was difficult, because what happened was you had Labor Day on Monday, and then Thursday was a seminar. So I think some people got tripped up over
Right.
the
but
timing of that.
Yet it was still well attended.
Yes, exactly.
I guess my point in all this is that we've had 3, what I would consider successful seminars.
Yes.
I don't think there's any argument with regards to the success of those.
Right.
Yet we had a Shop Grafton event that was attended by 5 individuals, and one of them is actually here, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so my thought process is this. I think we recalibrate the breakfast scenario.
Yep.
And allocate those $1,500 to the general unallocated dollar amount,
Okay.
giving you basically $3,000, right?
Okay.
And then you're able to then fund probably a kick up in the notch of the gifts. I'm not talking $1,000, maybe $800. Make it a little bit more attractive, and then salt the rest of those away and continue with these seminars.
I
I think
agree
these
with that.
seminars
I
seem
agree
to
with
be
that, yeah.
really, you know, advantageous for all of us, and then actually add a networking component to those seminars.
Yeah, yeah.
Meet and greet afterwards, or, you know,
Yep,
Okay.
kibitz with your colleagues, that type of thing.
sure.
That seems to have a little bit more of an impact. You want to draw somebody with a seminar, social media, you know, business development, business plans, financing, et cetera, et cetera. Those are great informational scenarios that actually drew some people. So why don't we just piggyback on that
It's a great idea.
and go from there? That makes sense?
Oh, yes, I agree.
I mean, I agree, a business owner isn't gonna take time off from the business to come down and say hi to his neighbor business.
Right, no, exactly.
But
you
an
know.
incentive
It's
to
a value,
learn
you know,
something, yeah, and then also network.
Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense? Well, can I get a motion to allocate those funds towards that?
So moved.
Any,
Second.
second?
Second,
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
sure.
Can I add something?
Sure.
This is the Shop Grafton campaign is fantastic. Would there be an opportunity in the future to make this more year-round, generic flyer, things to do in Grafton? And where you can take the prizes out, list the shopping and restaurants, and then maybe on the back, things to see, like the Willard Clock Museum. Help me. With some of the funds that are, you know.
We could do something like that. I don't know if the funds are there to do it this year unless you substitute that for something else. But what you're saying is when we talk about more Main Street businesses, that may be something that appeals to them, and we could try and incorporate that in the brochures. The challenge we have, though, is when we do something like this could have a 5-year shelf life. I don't want to necessarily commit funds that may only be good for 24 months or 12 months or whatever. I want to make sure we get something long-term. So that's something that we should,
Well, this is only 1 year.
yes, exactly. But you asked for a different theme to it, correct?
That would be ongoing.
An ongoing.
You asked for ongoing, so
So,
I'm willing to do what you guys want to do.
Just there's a lot of folks coming to Grafton. And
Right.
I feel like a brochure to hand
Right.
things,
Well-
it's, you know.
Maybe what we do is we do something more enhanced, and we put that as a goal for next year, as opposed to trying to chop up funds from this year.
I like that idea that Morgan have, and maybe even, you know, developing some kind of map or something for people who are coming to Grafton, and maybe they go to Off the Common Antiques and they open it up and they see, oh, there's all these other shops right around
Right.
me that I can walk to or drive down the street to, and I was also looking for this, and
Hiking in the land trust,
yeah,
things to do in the
exactly,
day.
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that could be part of the quality of life campaign, as you have your shops, here are your hiking trails, here are your biking trails, here's
Right,
different things.
yeah. So maybe we think about that and incorporate both into the quality of life brochure. Make
Right.
it sort of a dual purpose.
so to maybe piggyback on that, for example, if you're going to make a T-shirt for a camp, you don't put a date on it, because if you have leftover T-shirts, you
Right.
want to maybe use them again for the same camp. So by putting these on here, we dated this brochure.
Well,
If this wasn't there, if we, like, as you said, you made your quality of life brochure, and we make our Shop Grafton like an insert to it, we maybe get,
well, one of the challenges is we've had new businesses come to town,
yeah,
and we'd want to incorporate them
yes,
into this. And unfortunately, we've lost some businesses, so we'd want to take them
Okay.
out of here.
okay.
So that's why it's kind of an annual brochure.
So could not trying to beat a dead horse here, could the quality of life type of brochure be something that's, you know, the trifold or whatever, say, and then, again, go back to when we do decide the dates and times of the Shop Grafton, that becomes a less expensive
Insert.
printing and such as that.
Could you rephrase your question, because I'm not sure I understand it?
All right, to make a trifold brochure for a
Right.
specific purpose is a little more expensive than just making, shall we say, an insert to an
Right.
existing brochure. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, you're correct in adding an insert would be cheaper, but I'm of the opinion that we're representing the town, we're representing the businesses, we want
Okay.
to include them all on the same level.
Yeah.
So I feel like you gotta have that brochure
Okay.
accurate. But with that said, once you do it the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I think going back and then modifying this for next year's brochure,
Right.
I don't think that's gonna be as much as it was to be done initially.
Okay,
So you're gonna probably have some design savings.
all right.
I guess this quality of life brochure, if I'm stating that correctly, is that something that the economic development crew here, to this team here, this committee, is sponsoring, or should be more of a town? I see the recreation department being involved in that, I
No,
see.
that would be us. And,
Yeah.
and let me just point out, we have $2,500 allocated to brochures and banners. So when we go back and we start designing that stuff, some of that stuff may be easily included in it.
Okay,
Yeah, the quality of life thing is, it's not quite real estate, because you're not really pushing by. What you're doing is you're saying to people, ooh, you know, you might wanna live here, and even if you're not gonna live right here, you want your business here, because your employees are gonna wanna live here, or near here. And it's subtle. You know, it's a subtle distinction, but that's, you know, why would you come here? Quality of life. You know,
Right.
is why don't you wanna go somewhere else? We have much less traffic, you know, all the things that make Grafton so wonderful, and why we've grown, you know, 50%, you know, since the 90s.
Any other thoughts on the overall budget for the Shop Grafton, Mass?
Is this the final?
No, that's
No,
that's
no.
last year.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm
Yeah,
just, that's,
right.
Yeah.
Right?
you answered my question. Yes.
No, I just I I would be shocked if it was this year's.
But we're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the next request pertaining to this is, I know Morgan's been helpful. She's told me some businesses changed hands. But if you guys know any businesses that have been bought, sold, came into town, no longer in town, if you guys could let me know, so that way when we print the brochures, it's as accurate as possible. Okay?
You did attach a list, I guess, right?
Yes, I sent that on one of
You wanna
those
go through
emails.
that to make sure and send it back to you via email?
Yeah,
Okay.
We can
That
do
makes
that.
sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
you good with that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
okay, thank you.
Yep. MBTA station parking?
Can we continue with that budget thing?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. We agreed for $800, right, for the Shop Grafton? Is that
All
what
right.
prize is?
Let me share with you a concept and see what your thoughts are. And I respect what you said, but last year we spent $500. We had the Apple iPod, Visa gift card, and the Apple AirPods. As I look at it this year, what I'm trying to do is to expand the number of people who participate and also attract people from other towns. So the first question is, by having better prizes, do we think that would be more motivational than last year? And please don't treat this as a thing, but if we could do an Apple iPhone, and the town could get it discounted through whatever, I don't know what the process is, but an Apple iPhone would cost the town, say, $700. Then maybe what we do is a second prize and a third prize of lesser value. So if you did, say, 1,000, which is double last year, I should point out that Joe thinks we should stick closer to the 500. I was pushing for the better prizes, thinking that that would be more motivational.
And I was in the middle, incrementally going up to 800, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you've already split the difference.
Yeah.
It's just now you have the context
Yeah,
to split the difference.
okay. I guess for the first time around on the Shop Grafton MA, I think we were incredibly successful. I think the more this gains traction by repeating it, I think the better we'll all be, including the businesses. So I think, I don't know if it was the prize that was the attraction or not, but I think it was the overall thought process and theme behind it.
Right.
So I don't know, I think the idea that walking away with an iPad was great for someone, and we advertised that, or we pumped that out for, an announcement, but I don't know if anybody remembers who won and what they won.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
right.
But I do think that there was, when people went around and got the stamps and everything else, I think there was a method to the madness.
Right.
And I think, something of merit or something of worth, I guess, is important, but I don't know if we go all the way up to $1,000
Yeah.
of gifts.
Right.
Okay,
John,
I-
as,
I-
oh, sorry.
I kind of agree with you there.
okay. so-
As I recall from our meeting, our lowly attended meeting at the tavern, I thought a bunch of us said that we would be willing to offer up gift cards from our businesses.
Right,
So that could increase the overall value
right.
to the pool if you're still wanting us to do that.
So in other words, you'd have not only your 3 big gifts, but several smaller gifts.
From the
Instead
local
of only
merchants.
giving away 3, maybe now you're giving away 10.
Yes,
3
And-
purchase gifts and 7 gift cards.
right.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think we had, in our discussion last year, I think we were saying, let's say, for example, we've got a gift card to a specific business in town, and we said, okay, fourth prize is a $50 gift certificate to XYZ business in Grafton. We are advertising that one business. How can we give gift cards or similar to Grafton businesses without,
We weren't,
If they
we
donate
were-
Advertising
because
them.
they have donated them.
we weren't
So
intended
the
to,
asterisk says donated by.
okay, all right. Because I
It
wouldn't
wouldn't
want,
have to go, it wouldn't have to be printed either. I mean, if we can't,
Or you
if
can
you
put
have a
something
deadline.
to the effect of,
But it's on
be on the
social media.
lookout for other,
prizes.
for other
Right.
prizes from the local,
sure,
Right.
local, you know,
Yeah.
local shops.
okay.
And that kind of clarifies, I haven't brought you guys up to date. One of the things is that it was suggested that the different businesses could contribute their own prizes.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
So what we would do is we'd have
Is that what he
the,
just said?
Yes.
Okay.
we'd
Yes.
have the 3 main prizes,
mm-hmm,
but then what we do is for the prizes donated by the businesses,
right,
at the start of each selectmen's meeting, and I'm gonna ask Doreen, to somebody to withdraw a name from that raffle,
yeah,
and then we announce the winner at the beginning of each selectmen's meeting. So if we
Also have
had
a winner a
7,
week
right,
leading up to the big event.
yeah,
well, no, that would be
After.
afterwards, because we have to collect all the cards.
Okay.
But what that means is come January, if you had 7 prizes, come through July, at the beginning of each meeting, because there's a drawing of a raffle, that means it's given the local campaign
A little more leg.
opportunity to stay
Yeah.
in front of the people beyond
Mhm.
the holiday season.
and to your point about, the individual businesses setting up their own donation, so to
Right.
speak, they could have in their shop, hey, oh, by the way, you get your 10 stamps or whatever, you are eligible for this.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Right.
And they can show it in their shops.
Yes,
Okay, yeah. But I have to agree with you. I don't think spending a big amount of money is gonna get us more
And you're
bang
not
for
gonna
the
get
buck.
the marginal improvement.
okay.
Yeah.
So I
agree with
guess-
that
I
too.
got one thought.
Yes,
Why couldn't you make Shop Grafton year-round?
that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, I think that's where we're trying to get to.
That's what you're talking about now,
Right.
pretty much.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, the campaign could go year-round, couldn't it? And people
with a-
just keep adding to the raffle bucket?
But I think then it loses
Yeah.
a little bit of its,
Think so?
yes.
And especially if you keep in mind that retail does 60% of their business in the 4 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah. Well,
And some shops do more, but that's on average.
I
That's
suppose,
significant.
but I mean, if someone had the incentive of going and shopping Grafton in May, because they're looking for
Yeah.
gifts,
But I
It'd be
also
the same
think
thing, wouldn't it?
especially in the warmer months, that's when we have, tourism, what tourism we get.
Which is why we need a brochure for
Yeah,
tourism.
Right.
but they're not gonna do a Shop Grafton type thing, cause they're probably, well, maybe they'll hit 10 stops, but they're not gonna be around for more than a couple of days.
Right,
So that's, I definitely like tying it to the holiday.
right, tied to a holiday, and the drawings during a selectmen's meeting is
Right.
reminding the locals to shop locally.
Right, for a few months after.
And I think, what we've all been saying, more than the dollar value of the prize, the value is really reminding people to shop local.
Yeah.
Because when you see this and you remember to go to local stores and it's all part of, this
Yeah, when I
whole
got-
program, you feel like,
Yeah, last year I
Yeah.
kinda got the sense of, I have prizes, whatever, this is fun, hey,
This
have
is
you got
fun.
yours done? Hey, I
Yeah.
got 8, how many do you have?
Exactly.
It was kinda like this
Right.
little thing among different groups of people, it was
right,
fun.
right. And, I want to go back to what Dennis was saying for a minute and trying to eventually make Shop Grafton year-round. And again, maybe not this particular program, because this works well for the holiday season, as Irene was saying. But maybe we could think about in the future highlighting at like a select board meeting monthly or every other month, a business, like a prize to a business, you know, like we take, you know, Homefield Credit Union and we highlight them at a selectman meeting and we say, you know, like we have a plaque, they've been in business for X number of years, they do this for the community. You know, Off the Common Antiques has done this for the town of Grafton, has donated this, has, you know, whatever it is, has been in business for X number of years. And when you highlight something like that, the cost of a plaque that could be hung in a store, we're essentially showing these local businesses, we care about you in the community, we're here, we're advocating for you in the community. But also it gives the opportunity to advertise and to have that highlighted in local papers, websites, et cetera. And then people from out of town, people from within town say, oh, I haven't been off the Common Antiques in a few months, or I live out of town. I'm gonna go check that out. They just won a prize this month for being like, you know, the business of the month or something in town. So
And the
just
one
a thought
idea
we
that-
could kind of
the one
tie it
that
all
would
in.
be the least controversial in terms of, you know, subjectivity and favoritism would be length of time in business in town.
Yes.
So every month or every quarter, maybe it's every 3 months, like you said at the beginning, or some point during a selectmen's meeting, we are now gonna honor all of the quote anniversaries. You know, so these businesses have been here for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you know, whatever. And then the next quarter, you know, however that would work. And again, the idea behind that one is it's purely objective. No one's getting, you know, favored. Every business that has been here X number of years gets recognized.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it, I mean, like Saddle Shed has been in business 50
Yeah,
years.
they've been here a long time.
50 years, you know, I mean, they deserve some sort of recognition from EDC to say, we acknowledge that you've been in business for 50 years in this community. And, you know, so,
What about,
What would you like to do?
Thanks for the plug, too.
yeah, sure.
what about something, we'll call it a campaign to say, vote for your favorite business? Because if you look at, say, Worcester Magazine,
Right,
every now and then, I think they do an annual
Yeah.
brochure or whatever, and it says, you know, best of, thank you. So if the selectmen were to push this campaign to say, hey, vote for your favorite business, and then when it's all said and done, well, okay, then someone categorizes, okay, the best hardware store, the best pet shop, the best, you know, and then that way there, as you said, the selectmen aren't favoring a business, they're just announcing the results.
Right.
Those
Let me,
campaigns tend to be done by the local newspaper.
Right.
And honestly, I don't have the capacity or
No,
the ability
Right.
to
Let me
do
just
what's
say that-
required.
Well, okay, so if we can somehow not drive it, we can help maybe
Can I add-
talk someone into doing it.
Can I add to your thought on that?
What?
So a bunch of businesses in Grafton were recently nominated by the Telegram and Gazette for the Best of Central Mass. And I think, and the awards gala is November 21st, and a number of businesses, including ourselves, Quite Fetching, Bushel and Peck, Waggy Tails, were in the top 3. And you don't know the winner until that night at the gala. And I think that would be a really interesting and nice thing to highlight, that the selectmen could highlight, you know, 10 businesses from Grafton, blah, blah, blah. And that can be information that we can gather that John can then go to the meeting, selectmen's meeting, and give an update. Because a lot of Grafton businesses made it to the top, so.
And,
or I
well,
can give an update, which is why I'm here too. you know,
Right,
and I
Dor- that
can
could be
represent.
Doreen's thing,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
gather
For
that
sure.
information.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah.
again, not
That's what I'm
to,
here for.
I agree with you, so, not that we would want to tie him down to say, hey, you have to stay late in town, then why couldn't a member of the board go to get on the agenda for selectmen's meeting and say, hey, you know, we're here from economic development.
That's
to
what
tell you."
Doreen's
That's
role
what,
is.
yeah, that's what my role is
Yeah.
here. So
But if we
every
say, Doreen, can you
meeting,
reach
So
out
you-
to the Telegram and see what the
Yeah.
yeah,
top 3 from Grafton? It comprised 15 businesses, and that can be a
yep.
But I like
tidbit.
the idea that Doreen brought up about just having the business here for a length of time, because then it, as you said,
Yes.
it's not
Doreen's
subjective,
Anniversaries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
My,
So you find the oldest business and you start with them and you just,
my biggest concern about that is somebody putting together the database so we know
Yeah.
who's turning how old.
Is that the town clerk? You get a
I don't know.
I don't know,
Probably.
business license.
Because they have to be registered.
Yes. And, you know, I understand why we would want to do it by date, and I bring up Saddle Shed because, you know, someone had mentioned to me this past week, they've been in business for 50 years. But I also don't think it would be that difficult for us as a committee to every time we meet, which is essentially on a monthly basis, to say, hey, I've been around town, and guess what? You know, like, Quite Fetching went above and beyond this past weekend and did this whole dog parade on our common and had vendors and had music and really got the community out. I would like to, you know, put that out there as maybe a business of the month. And someone else says, well, I went here and I found this, and then we vote on it. And then we say, you know, the EDC decided this is the business that we want to highlight this month. And I you know, I don't think anyone can fault us for recognizing a business in our community. I mean, that's kind of part of what, you know, I think our charge is. So
How
How
do
would
we,
what's the thought?
How would you like to recognize those businesses?
Right.
So, I mean, getting back to budget, you know, we have to be careful on that. Maybe pricing out. I mean, it would be nice to actually give the business something, like a small plaque or something
Right.
that they could actually hang in their business and say, I was recognized from, you know, the Economic Development Commission in Grafton. But I'm at a loss for how much that costs. I don't want to blow our budget on plaques,
Plaques are pretty
but
reasonably priced depending on what you buy. I mean, you can buy a plaque for anywhere from $10 to $100.
yeah, or even a certificate,
Yeah.
right?
frame certificate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Frame it treasures and
Yeah.
print out the certificate on the printer.
Yes. Why not?
You could do something that's a trophy and it gets passed to business each month. See where it is this month.
That's
you
kind of
have,
cool.
you
That's
have the
kinda cool,
Grafton
too.
High School shop class make something.
Yeah.
And they use a
There you go.
lathe or a CDC machine, and they,
Hunter's Tavern put on that benefit on the common, the Rock.
Exactly.
Oktoberfest.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. I
that's-
mean, I sort of feel like these businesses need to have recognition for, you know, what they're bringing to our community, going back to quality of life, right? These are the types of things that bring a quality of life to our community. So, you know, aside from the brochure, I just a thought to do this whole Shop Grafton year
So do you want
round.
to establish a business of the month program? Is that what you want to do?
well, why don't we
It could be
put it,
informal.
why don't we
doesn't have to
put
be
it on
so-
our,
Yeah.
Next
on our
agenda?
to-do
Next
list?
agenda.
Let's have it
For-
marinate for
You know,
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Maybe put some ideas together, some thoughts, and then go from there. Fair enough.
Because I think when we first started, I don't know, a while back, when you first came and stuff, I think this board or group has come up, we had not an aggressive agenda, but we had a bit of an agenda that we wanted, you know, like you said yourself, you know, a plan. Okay, so if we add that to the list of the plan, and, you know, so we're not, you know, we started out with, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we're spending a lot of time tonight on this, and not that it isn't of value, but it just, you know, I think that's a bigger project that we
Right.
would like to take on. We all feel it's worth a worthwhile project. However, you know, again, we need to have maybe a subcommittee on that one.
Stick to the task at hand.
Yes.
Getting back to the task at hand, could you do a vote on the budget for the Shop Grafton prizes?
Thought we
please?
did, no?
Well, are these prizes that you're considering?
No, my fear was if I asked you what we should do for prizes for Shop Grafton, you'd all stare at me funny. So I want
Comes to
to,
$815 for those three, so
so
I feel
I
like
just wanted to plant some seeds as
Yeah.
what you could do.
they're
Okay.
pretty cool to me.
Oh,
All right, so-
Those weren't suggestions, as.
So I want
some
to
thoughts.
confirm that we're going to allot an $800 budget for the gifts for the Shop Grafton MA. Is that
Yes.
something we can propose?
Yep.
Can I get a first?
I moved, you moving?
Go ahead and move it.
Okay, I move that we allocate $800 for prizes, for 3 prizes for the Shop Grafton campaign.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Can I also suggest that we move to recognize the Saddle Shed for their 50 years of service? We could probably come up with some type of certificate or plaque. I think that's merited considering 50 years. We could have the Board of Selectmen award this particular plaque, sponsored by the EDC. Does that sound something like?
We want to wait and do that next time when we've had a chance to marinate the whole idea more?
I think the idea is we can definitely marinate that
Kick it
idea.
off.
Let's kick this off with
Yes.
recognizing them.
I think it
Okay.
was this month too, it was 50 years, so it would be
It was this
timely,
month?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
jaw dropping when you read it in the paper, like, what?
Irene, you wanna make that motion?
Okay, so I move that the EDC formally recognize Saddle Shop for being in business in Grafton for 50 years, and that this recognition include requesting the Board of Selectmen publicly acknowledge both their 50 years in business and the EDC designation.
How much, did you want to recognize them beyond verbally? Did you want a plaque or something?
They could do like a proclamation, right, maybe? Certificate.
Well,
This is why I was iffy on it.
Yeah, let's
Well,
not
if we-
get too hung up on details.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Okay.
as Dennis said, it's not a lot of money.
All
We'll
right,
make something very appropriate, something very,
Okay.
suitable to the occasion.
Okay.
thank you.
I second Irene's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Saddle shed too,
Yeah,
Saddle shed, is that what I said?
But
Saddle
I
shed.
said Saddle Shop.
Um,
Correct the
Can,
language.
Irene, you did a fantastic job.
and I'm sorry.
Keep
um,
hanging with me.
Yeah.
Keep hanging. For the prizes, I need you guys to tell me what you want for prizes.
That's $800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I am not the one selecting the
We
prizes.
suggested a perfect.
I like the watch
No
ideas.
idea.
I think the watch
does it all
ideas are
have to
nice.
be,
We're the higher level thoughts here. You
Hold
just
on.
go pick something there.
does it have,
Ask Joe Layden.
do they all have to be techie prizes?
Techie.
Yeah.
So,
You know, that's the thing.
Want a Snuggie?
No, not a Snuggie, but I'm just saying, okay, gaming, granted,
I do.
John, I prefer that we table this particular scenario.
Okay.
If they have suggestions, send
Yeah.
them in to
We'll
you,
email you.
and then go
okay.
from there.
all
Yeah,
right,
thank you.
if you guys
But I give
do,
you a wide berth of discretion,
We trust
why birth of discretion?
up
Okay.
to $800.
not 801,
Not
800.
to,
See,
Well, good thing I don't have to pay sales tax.
If you wanna kick some of your own money in, then you can.
is that all right?
yes, that's fair enough,
All right.
yes.
Moving
Thank
right
you.
along. We're gonna go to the MBTA station parking.
Okay,
Build a parking garage.
Parking.
one of the things that you guys know is when we did the MBTA survey, that one of the complaints that came through loud and clear was, we don't have parking, we don't have parking. I was at the Grafton train station, and I was there from like 8 to 8:30 one day, just a random day. And I literally watched 10 cars come in, circle, and go about someplace else because they couldn't find parking. If you,
Can he see you on camera?
I don't know if you can see me on camera.
Probably can't hear you either.
How am I doing on camera?
He's
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the Grafton parking here, right?
Yes,
If you're in the parking lot with your back to Westboro Road, facing the parking lot, on the other side is land that's currently not being developed or anything. That's owned by
Mass
either
development.
Mass Development. What we've done is we've requested that Mass Development give us an easement so we could put parking spaces there. Now, if they say yes, then the thing is, we need to develop those parking spots. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask the state for a grant to help us develop it. But if this happens, so say we get 50 or 60 feet, that would allow us to put parking spots there. So I wanted to convey to you, as well as the general public, that we're actively trying to respond to what you requested and informed us as a challenge.
Would it be metered parking in the town of Grafton will get the money? Is that how it works?
We haven't got that far yet.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exploratory.
the fact is,
Because
If-
I'd certainly sell it.
well, the fact is,
It's MBTA.
well, all I know is it could go back to the state, because if the state gives us X amount of dollars to do what's needed for the parking.
Oh, for the
Maybe-
grant, I see what you're.
So
yeah.
I don't know about that. My goal is simply to make it easier and better for the people in Grafton who need to commute.
So here's a
Facilitate
question
parking.
about parking.
Yes,
Is there grant money available for consideration in, downtown parking opportunities? For businesses?
the state has a fund that's designed to promote economic development. Whether this would qualify for economic development or not, I don't know. That kind of brings up,
Because if that kind of parking
well,
project, and I can see why it would be advantageous because people are commuting to go to work and living here. But if there's money, an opportunity for parking development up around the common,
right. I think two things is, one is the state decides what they want to give the grant to. And their driving factor is how is it promoting economic development? So I can't tell you if there's funds available to that or not. I could just tell you that the state has funds. You got to
They
sell
may
them.
also, if we don't get it through that, I would be surprised if we couldn't get a grant through transportation, because they're trying to get cars off the highway.
you could say federal.
Transportation and Mass Department of
Either,
Transportation.
either federal
trans-
or state or combination thereof. The fact that we're like, look, if you can give us 50 more parking spots, we're gonna get 50 more cars off the road.
Right,
Because if people pull in and they can't park, they're gonna pull out and they're heading down the road.
right.
You want them off the road, you gotta give them a place to park.
Yeah. All right, well, if you have information on that, let me know.
I don't, I was asking, but I'll look
oh.
into it and I'll get back to you.
One
But
of the
my
ch-
thought was it would be there,
All right.
because this is so much in the news right now.
One of the challenges that we're going to have with that land is based on how it slopes. We're gonna have to build a retaining wall or clear stuff out. So it's not going to be a dirt cheap project, but I want to just simply let you know what's going on. Morgan, you were talking about downtown parking, and this isn't about downtown parking, but it's directly related to the development downtown. I'm sure you're all familiar with the old DPW site and how much of a wreck that is. This here is a map just showing that the blue is the land that we're talking about. We actually had the state in last week to look to see how this could be developed and what type of grants and assistance they can give us with that.
Now, is the idea that we maintain ownership and we lease the land? Or are we looking to sell that land?
I believe we're going to sell the land.
Okay, because my husband and I both had the exact same thought, because we were talking about it as we drove by there yesterday. Hotel. Remember the
Wow.
hotel said they wanted sidewalks?
And
walking
restaurants.
distance to restaurants?
Um,
Bingo, right on the historic common. Someone was saying, I don't want to be looking at Wyman Gordon. No, I'll put you in a hotel where if you look out the right way, you'll see our beautiful common.
Right.
And our gorgeous new library.
well, what's
A
gonna,
small boutique hotel.
well,
With some
given,
retail in there.
given the town owns it, what we'll do is we'll put out an RFP
Okay,
and look to see what we get for responses. A hotel there wasn't proposed. I think what I heard more was some mixed-use property where you have some retail on the bottom and some apartments or
okay.
medical office or whatever above it. But again, we're not the developers, so we'd have to see what type of response we got for that.
Okay.
John, can I ask a question about the MBTA? How many parking spaces are we looking to increase? Do we have a number?
50 to 60
Okay,
is,
what do we have there
okay.
now?
I have no idea.
Okay, just curious.
I think that this is gonna get a little fuzzy, only because I do think the MBTA controls the parking lot.
They do.
They do.
Okay.
They do.
So this is gonna have to be in conjunction with them. I think we can explore the opportunity, we can try to present the opportunity to them, but this is gonna be a decision that they're gonna have to make.
No, it wouldn't, because
Oh, for
Mass
maintenance
Development owns the land. If we get
Okay.
the easement, the MBTA has already told us they're not gonna put out any money.
Okay,
So we're gonna have
so
to
the
do
town
it.
of Grafton would,
Or
Well,
grant.
it's,
the state.
we're looking for the state to assist us.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But will they maintain it if it's created?
You're into the weeds. We haven't even
Right.
got that far.
Why wouldn't the MBTA have an incentive to have more parking and have more people pay to use their transport? I don't,
Because
Because
when you
it's the
look at how much
MBTA.
money's involved in acquiring the land and getting it
Okay.
ready for parking, and then at their $5, $10 a day, how long it would take them to get that money back.
the ROI isn't worth it to them.
Exactly.
Okay, so is there a B option too? Is there any other land like across the street on Route 30 or something that's, doesn't need to be developed as much that the town owns that could be used and it might be a little bit of a walk, but a solution?
Well, now that brings up Pine Street here.
Yeah.
This here is 8 Pine Street. We soon to have, hope to have an RFP go out for development. This here is 8.8 acres. It's a 40R district, which basically allows for higher density for housing. And we're looking for people to tell us is how they're going to develop it as mixed-use property. Okay. It's within walking distance of the train, so here's the parking lot, so it's easily within walking distance. And we hope and would like to see somebody include parking for the train.
Okay,
But again, we're not the developers.
right.
And we can't force it.
And
But
then-
we are trying.
Okay.
What about that section across the tracks in Tufts, the green area?
This?
Go upwards, no. Across, down. Yep,
Who
Yes.
owns that?
Tufts.
Tufts?
I think Tufts owns it.
No, that's not Tufts, because Tufts is way over here. I don't know who owns that.
Tufts is across the street too.
No, Tufts is here.
Right, but they have buildings across the street.
Yeah, they have some on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And down.
Tufts
Yeah.
too.
I do not believe that's Tufts.
I think it is.
I think
it is.
Okay.
I think it
All
is
right, well, you may be
actually.
right. Okay.
I think that's their admissions building.
Yeah, like a theater, like some movie theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not really.
The amphitheater or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting, I was talking to John before the meeting. I heard from a person that uses the MBTA that people from Westboro, that would normally use the Westboro MBTA, come to Grafton because it's cheaper to park than it is in Westboro.
By $1, I think.
$1 or $2.
You know what's funny though? If it's
Yeah.
only
Which
$1,
is
they probably
weird.
spend that in
Gas.
gas,
I
which
know,
is really
Which is
funny.
really strange, but that's why they say ours fills up. And if you find ours full, they can always go to Westboro and find a
I
spot.
used to drive to West Natick if I missed the Grafton train.
Yeah, that
Why
is
they
By the
choose
back
interesting.
separate
roads.
prices.
South
And
Road,
MBTA? I'm
Well,
sorry,
we don't know,
Maureen.
it could be I don't know if the one in Westboro is a private lot or not.
I'm sure they control all the parking lots.
No, I'm pretty sure that the MTA controls it.
Yeah, so
They
that's just
control all
an
of them.
interesting side. note.
Okay, are we okay with that, John?
Yes.
Thanks for the update, John.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you,
You're welcome.
excellent. Shop Grafton MA Facebook update. This should be interesting.
Well, there's really no updates, just because I've been focused on that TIF seminar. I think the conclusion was that I would maintain the Facebook, or somebody who was a non-business owner would also have administrative access to do it. The only issue was the guidelines, which was going to be something of how frequently people can post on the Facebook page and things like that, because we wouldn't want it to become a particular group of businesses because they post 10 times and somebody else posts once a week.
So it would have to be monitored, I think, is the best way to say that.
Right, it'd have to be monitored, but we need to give the monitor, well, first of all, it'd be me or maybe somebody else, but I would need guidelines from you guys of how frequently somebody can post. And
Okay. Do we want to take a whack at some guidelines, or do we want to put
There
some
isn't
thoughts?
even a page right now.
there's no page right now, but I'm told it's only 10 to 15 minutes to set up a
It's
page.
quick. but-
Yeah.
But the reason it's something to do now is because we're about to get
Sure.
pretty close to the season,
Yeah.
and we want to,
All right, can I ask that we submit guidelines? Does that make sense, or do you want to do it now?
you're the chairman.
I just, this is
What's
going to
your
turn into
goal in
a,
creating the page? I mean, what,
well, I think it's important that we have a social media presence with regards to Shop Grafton, and I think Facebook seems to be pretty popular at a certain demographic, the demographic that actually would shop in Grafton. So I think it merits. a
I'm
Facebook
not, I'm
page.
not, I'm not doubting them.
No,
I just
yeah.
wanna know, you can't create guidelines unless you know what your goal is
purpose
for
is,
the
yeah.
Facebook page,
Well, I think
you know?
just general awareness, wouldn't you say? So I don't know if, I can see some people not paying attention to it at all because they're not into the social media, but we did have a social media and digital marketing seminar, so I
Right.
would imagine they would want, their Facebook page to be attached to the Shop Grafton page is how it all works.
So you think the businesses would want to make posts on a regular basis touting their businesses, is that what you're saying?
No, they link to each other, so, Shop Grafton MA is associated with, the Saddle Shed. So they're friends. So it all builds a network, right? Am I right?
Well,
No?
I'm going to defer
maybe,
to Doreen.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking
How
at
come
Morgan,
me?
because I don't think that's the way it works, Morgan, right? I mean, it would be, a business would make a post advertising their business on the Shop Grafton Facebook page. Now, people could link to that business's
Share,
page, because there
right.
would be a like,
Share and like a
this
following,
business, you know?
following, yep.
So, yeah, so it would be a step-off point to the liking of the businesses that are in Shop Grafton,
I
right?
think there's,
But you'd only have one administrator.
right.
Right?
Which is-
And so,
Exactly.
and so that's the issue, and how time consuming do we want it? Because I'm assuming you would be the administrator, I think we talked about that at the last
Right.
meeting.
Yep.
How much time do we want John to spend managing a Facebook page instead
Well,
of doing?
I think it's only, the time between this year's Thanksgiving and Christmas is you're really only talking a 4-week period.
Okay.
So I don't see it getting all that demanding.
Let me make so there's two
Gonna need a
thoughts.
moderator, too.
There's a Shop Grafton Facebook page, which I don't think is gonna get a lot of followers, whereas you already have a Town of Grafton page, correct?
Right.
I think that you could, and the group could come up with 5 or 6 different posts that could be done during the season to promote the campaign through the Town of Grafton's Facebook page.
Right.
And then in the future, I know that a number of business owners, including myself, were talking about having a separate Facebook page just for merchants around town that wouldn't be run by the town, because we just haven't done it yet, and everybody's so busy. So that is just a business, once a day. Fitzy's Car Wash might be having a special. He could put something on there himself. Quite Fetching could say this is the special of the day for the dogs, and it would be not controlled by the town. It's just merchants informing consumers around town and outside town of the businesses here. So I think that's a separate non-EDC thing that can occur in the future when we probably get out of the holiday season, because now everybody's ramping up, and I don't know who's got the energy to pull it off right now. But for now, I think Shop Grafton could just be funneled through the town's Facebook page. And we maybe just submit 4 or 5 ideas. Here are the 3 prizes. Don't forget to go visit your local merchants. Here's a list of businesses. Those kinds of things you could do once a week for 4 or 5 weeks. A post.
Hashtag Shop Grafton,
MA
MA,
on the Instagram. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Don't even
has
go
Shop
Instagram.
No,
Don't talk
no, no.
Instagram to John. His eyes will glaze over. So.
Hey, I have a digital marketing company, leave me alone.
You have people for that, yeah.
I like that idea. I think it simplifies it, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of the same people who are on Town of Grafton Facebook page, it's just another link that they have to find and click to, and it could be too late by the time they find Shop Grafton. It could be the week before Christmas, or, you know, so I like that idea. And I think it would be easier for this committee to just come up with how many times we want to ask, and I'd be happy to help with that too, as far as, you know,
Like-
submission to the select board's office of, you know, what we want to have
Like this
posted.
week, don't forget, you could win a prize from
Yeah,
Fitzy's Car Wash. Whoever donates some of these could be put
Right.
as a posting, to get people more excited that they're supporting local business.
That works for me.
Thanks, Doreen.
So I think are we all right with giving John and Doreen the discretion on when and how? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Fair enough?
and everybody could just email John and say, this is an idea of what you could put
Right.
for this week, and we could decide, you know, twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays or something, there'll be a post out or something like that.
Take a picture of all the little stamps, you know, as they're in the basket, ready to be deployed to the businesses.
Yeah, you have great social presence, so
Oh, thank you.
Make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's good.
You all right with that?
I'm perfectly fine.
Perfect. Any other matters that may legally come before the commission?
I'm just gonna go back to something real quick, because it was driving me crazy. I get OCD. That strip of land we were talking about absolutely is Tufts.
Okay.
And I can show you the pictures, both, you know, map
Okay,
map
that-
and aerial. That's definitely their land, so as you
Okay.
turn onto Pine Street right to the right, that's Tufts.
Probably a wetland down in the divot, though.
Down in the divot maybe, but there's definitely, whether or not it's easier to build on than the patch behind, oops,
Then up the embankment.
and up the embankment, I'll let the people that know how to do this kind of stuff address that, but it looks, there's certainly a lot less trees.
Okay.
Because that land right behind the parking lot, yeah, there's a ton of trees there. This one, not so many,
Okay.
but I'll leave that to others to look at more closely. That's absolutely Tufts property.
I look at it this way, we have two potential opportunities to add parking spaces for the train. That's pretty far distance from where we didn't realize that how significant the problem was 6
Right.
months ago.
So we're moving in the right direction, we just gotta figure out what avenues we can get funding for. I think that's the appropriate next step. Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah. And thank you,
Maybe
John,
talk
for your
to
work.
our State House representatives.
Parking meters, that's what we need in town, a little extra
There
revenue.
you go. Have to pay somebody to go around and collect them all, right? It's all digital.
Not really, it's all done with credit cards now.
Exactly, right?
How do we get the tickets? Tickets for failure to pay.
Oh, well, those are different, but
PD.
usually, now they don't even pay with cash anymore, you swipe your.
Oh, trust
Any-
me, I know.
It's not
Anything
even
else?
an option, yeah.
Anything else on the, anybody like to bring up, agenda-wise?
Just, I know some people are looking for more regularly scheduled meetings as opposed to kind of me calling it when I feel like I have enough to fill an agenda. I'd like to get your opinion as to whether you like the scheduled upon need, or do you rather have a regularly scheduled meeting?
Well, I think as we're obviously getting closer to November,
Right.
really close. I mean, we have to pull a lot of the Shop Grafton stuff together, so we need to schedule.
Do we? Or you got it pretty much?
It's pretty much under control based on what you guys have voted on tonight. We have the budget, I'll pick out the prizes. You guys are gonna email me businesses that should be added or deleted from the list. I'm not sure.
No, I
What
think,
other
you know,
inputs?
your addition to the commission has been, not only useful, but a breath of fresh air. It keeps our agenda on the forefront of everybody's mind, and I think we as a, as a group, we come, we meet, we get some things off the table, but your direction's continuously going forward, so I don't necessarily need the idea of a structured meeting on every Tuesday of the
Right.
fourth, whatever. I don't think that makes any sense. I think when you get enough that you want our thought process on, and we're more than happy to set up a
Yeah.
meeting and get it going.
That's my feeling.
Great, yeah.
Make sense to
yeah.
everybody?
Yeah,
All right.
'Cause I hate to
so-
come to meetings where the only thing on the agenda is any lawful item that comes before.
yeah.
the board.
What about unlawful?
So,
I've been to a couple of
You,
those.
you and me both, Dennis.
I guess,
I have no tolerance for that.
as you said, to rephrase, all right, so if we were going to, we got to reprint lists and such as that, I think we need to work back from our start date. Our start date is going to be the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So how far back from that do we have to have a deadline for printing, finalizing our list and such as that? And I know for last year, we spent a couple of meetings just basically going over shops
Well,
and things
we
like
don't-
that.
Be-
There aren't
Because
many
we
in
did
town.
so much work last year, I'm
Okay.
expecting it to be light lifting this year.
Okay,
Just make sure that they're still in business, or if it's a new business, they get on.
Right.
okay.
Right, if you guys respond to me this week, I'll ship the stuff over to the printer next week.
When did you send that list out, with this meeting notice?
Yes.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll resend that list to you.
Okay, good.
Make it easy.
And, just to reiterate again, I can work with John on the social media throughout this program, and also the Saddle Sheds recognition from the board, and, from EDC. And if you feel the need that our committee needs to meet between now and the holidays, just let us know. I feel like we all
Yeah.
will just,
Yeah, just send out an email.
take your
Seem
lead.
to get away with some good
Should bring
progress.
snacks
Yeah.
next time, though.
Is there, so would there be
You
any,
angry?
any thoughts on engaging either the tech school, Blackstone Valley, or our own shops to do some of the work, and shall we say, creating the plaque? If they could put a piece of wood on a lathe and make a little, like not a saddle or not a horse, but, something like that, I don't know, a hitching
Frame
post.
certificate myself,
This is-
frame
yeah.
certificate of appreciation.
Well, I think, like Irene said, if we table that discussion maybe till after the holidays and decide if we want to,
Okay.
Retroactively
Engage
give them
that,
a physical
Well,
thing.
that's a contradiction, because we said plaque for saddle shed.
oh, for
50
Saddle
years.
Shed will
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
but
so the
for-
question-
She's talking about going
Ongoing.
forward.
Going forward, I
on an
think we- yeah.
ongoing basis.
Right, but I think Sean was talking about something for saddle shed.
Oh, okay,
Right,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I misunderstood.
That's right, because, we're going to do that sooner than later,
Right,
so if we did have a way of reach out to those people, and, didn't they do some of the artwork for us when we were trying to create our brochures?
Yeah,
So that, just a thought.
I think for expediency that we go ahead and just commission a plaque from a local vendor. But I think going forward, it should probably have a little bit more of a
personalized.
personalized BVTs/Grafton.
Okay.
Is there shops offered in Grafton? I don't think
Yes.
so, right?
Tech ed, I think they
I
call it.
think there is, yeah.
Yeah, they don't call
They
it a
have
shop.
some electives. They do have some electives in courses that would be considered, quote, shop or CTE,
Okay,
but they do not have any CTE programs.
got it. Fair enough. So we can explore that, Dennis, Sean,
Thank you.
all right?
You can call me anything.
No, I don't know why I did that because John just did it.
Tell them get a
It's all his
copy.
fault. Sorry, Paul.
And I just have
all
one
right,
more
Bill.
quick thing before we adjourn too, that I haven't brought up yet, but the select board had, you're probably all aware, the select board had goals meetings this summer for the first time in a while, and we went over, just overall what our policy goals are, what we would like to see. And one thing that was brought up from one select board member is, because economic development is a very important part of our community, just talking about measures and seeing like what the board can do, besides just me attending meetings and being part of this group, what the board can do to help with the charge or help with measures maybe for the 2020 year. So we have, this is what we're doing, and, how do we measure how well this is working? And it's, I don't want to make it too complicated as the last thing on our meeting, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there. If maybe it's something we can discuss, I can get more detail on it from the select board member that, brought it to the goals meeting. And, maybe we can put it on the agenda in January or something and just kind of talk about, again, and it can be, we do a combined meeting with the board and EDC. We just kind of talk about what's working and how could we help, the charge and maybe add maybe more measures to EDC if necessary. This is my second meeting, so I'm not saying, I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I'm just saying that, if there's ways to quantify things that I can bring back as a board member, I think that would be helpful.
The challenge you're going to have is when it comes to economic development, what you can do is measure activities.
Right.
How many meetings were attended, what type of programs were done. It isn't like banking where you say, hey, he put $20 million of commercial loans on the street this year and collected $3 million in deposits.
Right.
You're not going to have that because you can't control when a business decides to do something. And even if a business is looking at doing something, the time frame and all the internal bureaucracy that they go through. So it isn't like you say, did you bring a business in this year?
Exactly.
So,
I completely understand that, and like I said,
actually-
it wasn't my individual
Right.
goal, which is why I'm
Right.
being a little
Stuff to
vague on it
quantify,
too.
but you-
Because I had the
Yeah.
same exact questions, John. So I may have the board member who did bring it up, come and speak to it or get a little more clarification, but I just wanted to communicate that it's something that did come up in the goals meeting and, maybe once we get past the holidays and all this important work that we're doing, it's something we could put on a future agenda.
I'm gonna draw the parallel to the mosquito control. What would happen if we weren't doing it? You can't do a double blind. So I can't say, oh, we'll do it for 6 months and not do it for 6 months and see which period of time, quote, had better results. At some point, you have to believe that if we're not doing it and other towns are, okay, those businesses are gonna keep going to those other towns. And like John said, it's activities. How many seminars did we run? How many people came? And you're not gonna connect the dots. Okay, doot, 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 this guy showed up here and look here 2 years later. Okay, he's putting a business here.
I don't think the measures that the board is looking for is quantified in new growth. I think it's based on activities that the committee is doing.
More anecdotal?
Exactly.
Okay.
I think. I'll
Now-
get clarity
now
on
you as
that.
the committee, and so is it the Economic Development Committee or what I'm doing? Or you're saying we're
The committee,
basically?
the committee. No, because the
Yeah.
committee reports to the select board.
Right.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
report to the administrator.
You report to the administrator.
Right.
So there's an instance where your annual, God, I haven't had a real job in a while. Your annual evaluation, they can hone in to say, John, what growth did you bring to the town of Grafton in your year? Whereas what we're doing is more warm and fuzzy and harder to measure.
Well, I'm saying that for me personally, I'm kind of in that group because businesses don't act in a timely fashion. It isn't like you're
Yeah.
selling cars and you have X amount of cars per month, per year.
Right, but you're more
Yes.
inclined to be able to say you secured a couple of grants for the town this year, whereas EDC, so I guess you would definitely want to bring us a little bit more information or suggestions on what that person's looking for that we
Yes.
could try to measure or
Yes.
or focus on.
Yes.
That would be helpful.
And
Yeah.
I also initially understood what they were talking about is, what does the select board need to be doing that's useful for EDC?
Exactly.
Because my first thought on that was, projections. Getting a much, because one of the things the businesses coming in are looking at is how stable is this town? And they're gonna look a lot more closely than most homeowners will. And so having our horses and, you know, all our ducks in a row, where horses came from, just thinking of Tufts, is gonna be huge. And they're gonna wanna see, you know, how we're making projections and how we're planning to fund things. They don't wanna move in and think, oh my God, they're gonna stick us with a huge tax bill because they're desperate for commercial growth and they're counting on us to fund their deficits.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So if that is how it appears, I'm not saying it does, but that's what the select board can do.
Right.
Okay, is make sure that our financials are in solid shape so that companies coming in aren't worried, oh my God, they're gonna go to a split tax rate, they're gonna soak us, you know, yeah.
But what does that have to do with us, EDC? I don't,
Well, that's what I thought she was bringing up, that's why I brought it up. I thought
No,
she
like,
was
what-
saying,
what
what it
is
has
our-
to do with us is, as we attempt to help create the favorable environment that keeps our local businesses strong and wanting to stay here, and brings in additional businesses.
Right.
Some of that is going to come from, you know, the board of the select board. Okay, how they conduct themselves. And it matters for real estate values as well. In other words, it's not just us. You know, when a town is run well, you know, people wanna live here and they grow. When towns are run poorly, the opposite happens.
yeah, have them come forward and talk to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's vague, right?
it's very
Yeah,
vague.
yeah.
Like, when we as EDC should have a goal-setting session. And we did that last year, and we had our 3
Yeah.
seminars.
Yep.
We've done that, so what more can we bring to the select board that would satisfy that request?
I'll get more information.
Maybe I'll start watching every Tuesday night.
I start off with good intentions, then I fall asleep, so. Sure. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.